Hi there, everyone. Hi, Krian.
Hi, Marivir.
Where are we? What are we doing? We have just
We-
created Women and Media for
Yeah,
the new year.
yeah, it is it is our first episode as a Women in and Media program, and for our inaugural segment, we
Mhm.
are featuring Assemblyman Stephen Raga, and we plan to talk to him. We plan to grill him about his life as a member of this New York State Assembly, who is now
Right,
holding
right.
office in
So
Albany.
it's a good thing that um, Stephen agreed immediately, and thanks to his secretary as well,
Yeah.
uh, John or assistant
Hmm.
for facilitating the this interview with him. But first, let's talk of WAM. WAM is our baby, Krian. Like this is the first Phil-Am women's organization, although
Yeah.
loose, although a social club in nature. It's the
Yeah.
first Phil-Am women in media group, and so we're
Yeah.
happy to have with us on board Lindy Rosales, who's with GMA, and also the Republic Asia something. She also writes for you, right, Krian?
Yeah. She
And
does
also we
occasionally
have
write for me.
Grace.
She's actually
Okay.
covering Miss Universe right now for the Philan.
Yeah, see. So she's with the beauties, and so she's enjoying it, the amazing beauties. And also we have initially we have Grace Labagis,
Hmm.
who's part of MGM. Ito naman yung aking partnership ni Grace, yung Marie
Uh-uh.
Grace Media. So
Yeah.
we're happy. And so now we can play the interview we had a while ago with
Steven. Yeah.
Steve.
Hmm.
Okay, let's try. Let's listen to this.
There.
We're recording already, Christina.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll just have to cut this. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to WAM. Hi, Krian.
Hi, Marivir. Hi, Steve.
Hi,
Hi,
how are you
Stephen.
today?
Welcome to the first episode of WAM, and you are our special guest. So
Thank you.
honored to have you here and proud of you.
I'm honored. Thanks for the invitation. Happy to join you.
Congratulations on being the newly elected assemblyman
Mhm.
Yeah.
for Queens in Maspeth, in Elmhurst, in Astoria, Woodside, and Jackson Heights. Am I correct? Are
Yeah,
those the
and a little bit
areas you're part of?
and a little bit of Middle Village, but yes.
Oh, Middle Village. Yes.
That's right.
Happy,
Welcome,
happy,
Steve.
and proud of you.
Yeah. Can we still call you Steve?
I hope you do. Please.
Because Assemblyman Raga doesn't seem
No. Every time
right to my ear.
it, it doesn't sound right to my hearing.
You will get used to it.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
hope not.
anyway, Steve and us, Marivir, go a long way from when he was still a community organizer, student activist. So
Mhm,
we've seen him sort of grow up,
mhm.
like a
Yes,
little boy.
amazingly.
And now he's an assemblyman,
Yeah.
and we're
Yes.
and we're still
Where's the time?
journalists.
Well, you want to be queen, Christina? Anyway, um, congratulations once again, Steve. So tell us before I we ask you about your platform. Tell me how you look back in the immediate at the immediate past. How was the campaign, and what did you learn?
It was interesting because if you remember, technically we had three campaigns. We had three elections in the last 2 years. So we had the
Mm-hmm.
city council campaign first last year. It did
Mm-hmm.
not go our way for a number of reasons. There was ranked choice voting. It was confusing. I was the latest candidate on the slate.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Our community was not very educated on the process of primary versus general voting. There was a lot going on. For so what but we announced for the June primary this year
Mm-hmm.
for state assembly. Also, the lines changed. It's a different jurisdiction.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So with Woodside and Elmhurst finally combined. Now that what that does is it created a 49% Asian American voter or residential base there
Mhm.
in the entire district. So including Jackson Heights, Maspeth, Middle Village, Elmhurst, Woodside, and Astoria, and pieces of Elmhurst. It's now 49% Asian, and a big part of that are Filipinos, the Nepali community, South Asians, and of course Chinese and Korean. So working with them over the years in the last few decades made it really easy to, or not easy, but easier to talk to leaders, communicate with them, because they know that, I've been here, I've been doing work. I didn't just, fall out of
Yeah.
somewhere and said, hey, vote for me. We're really invested in our community for years.
So,
Wow.
Steve, I'm curious about Albany. What is Albany like? Are there a lot of Filipinos there? Have they given you a bayanihan welcome to Albany? Tell us about the community and tell us about the culture there.
Yeah, for sure. So as assembly member, I've only been there for how many days in session? Maybe only 2 weeks. So
Okay.
Mhm.
most of my time is spent within the 4 blocks around the Albany State Capitol and my hotel. I just stay there because I'm in the office until very late, until 11 midnight, and then I just go to the hotel and sleep, and then I wake up
Wow.
again to the next. We have meetings early in the morning, so.
Mhm.
But eventually, I'll have to reach out to our Filipino community in Albany. I know a few of them already.
Mhm.
When the time is right, and have them, come and visit the chamber of the
Mhm.
assembly if they want to, visit the Senate, and really show them around. But also, maybe we could do an event for them.
That's a
Um,
nice one.
and-
So where are you staying in a hotel? Are you still looking for an apartment? An official
well,
residence?
well, no, because it's easier to be in a hotel because I'm not there fully. I'm because you have to be in two places at once. You have to be in Albany, and you also have to be in Queens in your district.
I
Uh-huh.
see. Okay.
That's why most of the staff is still here in Queens. So for the most part, when you're in Albany, where all the budget talks and the legislation is happening,
Mhm.
you're only there for maybe 2 to 3 days a week on average, maybe four, but on average, let's say 3 days a week. And so if I were to get rent a place here, a residence,
Mhm.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be there for most of the year because from June onwards, I should be here
In the
in,
district.
in the district, and I will still have a place in Albany. I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's not
Oh.
economically efficient, right?
But
Uh,
that but that residence can double as your headquarters, maybe. I don't know.
it could but then I have to bring everybody to Albany.
Oh,
most
that's
of
it.
most of the staff,
So
most,
much of your staff is still in Queens.
of course,
Okay.
you have to be in the front lines and on the grounds for anything our community.
And how big is your staff in Albany, or you don't have a staff in Albany?
Right now, we don't have a staff in Albany.
Okay.
We're still in the onboarding stages, so
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
um,
So you're hiring.
yes, actually, all of January, we're not going to be fully operational until probably, I assume, late January, early February.
Mhm.
Ah,
Okay.
great. So I have a question. When you mentioned like 49% were Asians, during the redistricting, so it helped you garner more solid votes. Is that what you implied
I
during the elections?
Yes.
Mhm.
I think I don't know if it translated into votes, but I
Oh,
got a lot of support from the Asian American community for sure.
it's amazing. So now your platform. What is your priority for the district?
Yeah, so now that's what you have really great timing for this.
Really?
Because the platform is the platform. It's what I can sign on to in terms of um, bills or pieces of legislation that I care about. So,
Mm.
but on the other hand, what I can really do, it's dependent on what committees I'm assigned to. And I was just assigned
Oh.
to committees yesterday. So you have the first.
Mhm.
We never made it public yet. So you have the first ones on which committees
So
I'm
what
on.
committees are you getting?
I'm getting banks.
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
Wow.
So that's a big one. Social services, which is
Mhm.
very helpful since I have a background in that. Um, I am also in government operations.
Mhm.
That's a very big one. I'm happy that's one of my top choices because
Mhm.
government operations are impacted by civil rights and human rights, and that's my wheelhouse. So that's really the
Yeah.
I wanted to be
Amazing.
governmental operations. I'm also in veterans affairs, so
Wow.
that's really
Oh,
cool. I
okay.
can help, our veterans, especially coming from
Yeah.
an organizing background that was supporting, campaigns for, Filipino World War II veterans or just the veterans
Mhm.
in the community here. And then lastly, I got agriculture, which is really
Agriculture.
Wow.
yes, that's amazing right now. There's in coming out of COVID when the prices of food are very high. You have people lined
Mhm.
up in our the streets in Woodside and Elmhurst just to get some free, eggs or lettuce that can be that are donated and distributed out. A focus on how our agriculture is and our farm system creates food and
Mhm.
sustainability and for our families, especially those that are most vulnerable and in need of
Yeah.
that food. That is a big deal. So there's a lot ahead of us, and it's good that I'm honored to be on those committees.
I think I remember a story I read about you, Steve. You grew up in a farm when you were a kid, right? Your
Yeah,
grandfather had a
yeah,
farm.
yeah. My mom's dad, my Lolo
Yeah.
had he's a
That's a
farmer.
bagay also.
So and I remember I pretty much it's one of my earliest memories that I'm walking
Mhm.
in
So
a farm with a Coca-Cola bottle that's empty.
that's right. I just need a follow up.
Yeah.
What about anti-Asian hate?
Mhm.
What does that fall under any committee? Hate
Right now,
crimes.
it does not, and it's the hate crimes. It's that's not in any of the committees I am in. Maybe I could look into government ops, but literally I just got it a few hours ago, so I have to
Ah,
look
okay,
Oh.
yeah.
into how that would work. With the hate crimes, I was speaking with the Attorney General's office.
Hmm.
Uh, exchange. We were discussing how maybe we could meet with the Asian community here in Elmhurst and Woodside, because I was explaining to them that what we are hearing in the media or in public about
Mhm.
the Asian hate and the crimes, it's not even, it's just a fraction of what's really
That's
going
right.
on because people are not reporting it. They are
Mhm.
Yeah.
they want to go to the next length to call the police, or
Right.
there's also a sense of embarrassment if it was public. You don't want your friends, family, and forbid back home in the country of origin to see that this is what's happening. You don't want that, right? So
Mhm.
Right.
whatever we can do to help curb that, that's definitely what we're looking for. We're seeing what agencies we could partner to ensure that.
That's right.
Yeah. So my question to Steve is the issue right now on the scarcity of nurses that has led to this strike. So is there any solution you're able to offer?
Yeah, well, right now, happily, the strike is over,
Mm-hmm.
right? They
Mm-hmm.
reached an agreement. So it was a strike for 3 days. I wish I would have been there for the first 2 days, but we were in Albany. It started on
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Monday, but we were sitting on the chamber. What's funny is um, the uh, the assembly member next to me, she's a nurse. So I said,
Oh.
hey, you ever been to the Philippines? And she said, no, but I'm a nurse. So I said, I work in a hospital. So I said, oh, so you're halfway there. You said,
Right.
and then she was talking Tagalog. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh,
It's like the
awesome.
nurses were. So it's great. It's that the nurses got um, uh, that settlement right now, but obviously they've been under a lot of stress, not just the last few years, but in particular the last 2 years. So whatever we can do to help them, I'm 100% all in on anything to help
Yeah.
our community. So if nurses is one of them, that's big. You can also
Mhm.
check all the elected officials'
Mm.
social media. This is the most I've ever seen them post with Filipinos, because
Really?
Filipinos were in all of the strikes,
Learning
they were in
issue.
all the
Yeah.
sites.
That's right.
So
Yes.
you see
They're
Yes.
the
writing on the issue, right?
yeah, it's like finally they see that our community is out there
Yeah.
and passionate for issues that pertain to the rights of workers in New York State, but
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
also just to those that are putting their bodies on the front lines repeatedly in the height of the darkness of the city and across the country. So we have to respect them at least a little bit, right?
Mhm. I
Right.
wanted to go back to the campaign, Steve. You are obviously very qualified as a candidate, and I'm sure as an assembly member. But how do you
I hope.
explain that? How do you explain that you won? all the while we've been thinking, oh, Filipinos are not an effective voting bloc. They don't vote as one. But yet you bucked that trend. How did that happen?
I think it's a few things. I mean, number one, I mean, there was a lesson in every 3 election days.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Every all three were different. In the June election, Filipinos came out in support with volunteering, donations, of course, whatever they can contribute, whether
Mhm.
it's 10,000 or I mean, I'm sorry, $10 to
Yeah.
100. You're actually not allowed to donate more than so 10,000. So, but that's where our support came from, not necessarily the votes, though.
Mhm.
You have to be. It's a primary in New York State is a closed primary, so you have to be a registered Democrat to vote in the June primary. It is
That's right.
by
Mm-hmm.
and large my what I believe is like the important election for anyone to really make their voice heard and make their voice count. The November election, I think I did get a lot of more Filipino votes because then independents and Republicans could vote for me now because it's the general.
Yes.
Ah,
I think that's when it was more so
yeah.
coming in, and it's funny because I met Republicans in our volunteer team and our staff met Republicans in front of the poll sites in November,
Mhm.
and Filipino Republican, and once they saw that we were Filipino, they're like, okay, I'm voting Republican here, but for you, Democrat.
It's like there's a new wave. That it's like you brought out this new wave of Filipinos and brought them out to the polls, and
Yeah,
then they voted for you.
and I think it's important to distinguish that the parties are also the value system has changed from when they might have registered as a
Uh-huh.
Republican maybe in the 80s or 90s into now, after the rhetoric of the last presidential
Yeah.
president we had. It
Yeah.
has shifted to the extreme right for
Mhm.
the most part, which is outside of maybe the value system of not just being hardworking immigrant, but
Yeah.
also pretty anti-Asian and anti the rhetoric, reaps of
Mm-hmm.
some things that really is not what we practice if we're going to our communities, church going and family
Right.
oriented.
Oh,
It's
that's
not
interesting. You think the anti-Asian rhetoric helped in a way?
I don't I'm not sure on
Mhm.
that. I don't think it helped anybody, but I can tell you it might have even hurt me because I've
Oh.
met with Asian voters who did not know me, did not know my
Oh,
platform, did not know that I've been in the community more, and our family
Oh.
has been here for decades, and they just moved here, but they were upset that I'm a Democrat and everything, and
Oh.
I'm voting against you. I said, why? What did I do?
Oh. Oh.
And then it's like, sorry, you're continuing this thing. I'm like, I don't have meetings with Biden at the Oval Office and huddle and have a plan.
Right. Right.
There's different, stages of what elected officials and party politics imply. And for me, it's whatever. It's community first, is our neighborhood first, and
Yeah. I agree.
that's
So,
we should
S-
prioritize.
Steve, my question is your work with Assemblyman Barnwell, has this helped you establish your name and your familiarity in the community? Has this also been a factor eventually?
Yes, but to a lesser degree. I think in my previous job as executive director of Woods on the Move, I've had
Ah,
more critical because that was more external facing.
I
So
see.
I've as chief of staff, I was for the most part with Assemblyman in Barnwell. I was more behind the scenes for the
Mm-hmm.
most part.
Yeah.
Uh, but either way, it helped me get grounded and build those relationships in around like Maspeth and Middle Village, while my
Mm-hmm.
work at Woods on the Move has really helped with establishing relationships in more like Astoria, Jackson Heights, Elmhurst, and of course Woodside.
Amazing.
During the campaign, Steve, so you went around your district of mostly working class communities, immigrants, right?
Yes.
What did you hear from them? What are the issues that they want you to bring to Albany for them?
Yeah. It's around. It's the people that we generally we reach out to,
Mhm.
and this is every by far most disproportionately every campaign. And if they don't, something is there's other factors in is that we reach out to the voters. There is a
Mhm.
record of who votes. I'm not reaching out to
Uh-huh.
Filipinos just because they're Filipino.
Yeah,
If they vote and they're Filipino, they're on the list.
yeah.
Mhm.
Other times in the neighborhood there I see Filipinos. Oh, you never knocked my door. Or you guys never. You're not. You're not voting.
Uh-huh.
So you want it's the people that we know are gonna like me. I'm a prime voter. I vote every single election, June, special election, November, whenever it is. So I'm
Mhm.
voting no matter what.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to convince me to vote, but I can convince you who to vote for. Hopefully me. But for the people that are, and that's why we have to educate our community on why that is. We have a
Right.
lot of people, but they didn't vote for me in June of 2021 for city council, and that's why I didn't get it.
Uh-huh.
So so it's really on making sure they vote in every single election, making sure our voice is heard. But back to your point, it's because it, the people we spoke to, it was a mix. It wasn't just working class. It wasn't just immigrants. It was
Mhm.
people that have been here for decades. Families have been
Mhm.
here for centuries, over
Mhm.
That's true.
for a very long time. And it's a mix of issues, because and especially when I was speaking, I was knocking doors in June because we're talking to the Democrats across the board.
Yeah.
For the most part, during then, healthcare and also a woman's right to choose was top of
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. Healthcare.
Housing, yeah,
Mhm.
housing was
Housing too, yes.
very, especially when you're more immigrant and or at least not as established financially. That's and younger. Of course, housing is definitely an issue. Whether or not you're renting or you're owning, that's always going to be top of mind. And small businesses coming out of COVID, that was also
Mhm.
an issue, and also getting fines from the city, like little things like that we've been hearing. But across the board, no matter what neighborhood I went to, I also heard public safety.
Mhm. Good.
Okay, Korean, you want the question? You don't
Um,
want any dead air.
I have so many things on my brain right now.
Okay.
Your mom has your mom is no longer here, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So if she were around, how do you think would she feel
I don't
knowing you
know.
were out there?
I really don't know. Knowing my mom, I don't know. I think she would have kind of just quietly take it all in, and
Very proud of you. Yes, that's right.
yeah, and
But she knew that you wanted to be to pursue a longer term political career, right?
I think she knew I was open to it, but I did not actively pursue it
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
because as working as chief of staff for so long, you
Mhm.
see the behind the scenes, kind of the nonsensical kind of torment that
Oh,
elected officials have to go through
That's
that
right.
don't really we're here to make good laws and prevent from bad laws from passing. We're here to make sure
Mhm.
that the budget is distributed to our community that has been
Mhm.
historically excluded for a lot of our districts. There's all the behind the scenes, political, that's the
yeah.
stuff that it's not necessary, and it's that's why she knew that I was hesitant no matter what.
Oh, okay.
But it's still an honor, right, to
Yeah, of
serve
course.
and also
Yes.
see what you can
Too
do.
bad she didn't live long enough to see this thing happen, right?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's very
yeah,
sentimental, no?
yeah, yeah.
Kind of bittersweet.
Am I correct? Was she a nurse, Stephen?
No, she wasn't. She was what is that called? A biller. She was a medical biller.
Oh,
So for her last years before she retired, she was in
Mhm.
here in the district too, here in Queens. So
amazing. So, do you have siblings?
no, my mom and my dad got it correct the first time.
Only you.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, just
I
me.
see.
But yeah, so it's also interesting because it's great because this is the neighborhood I'd be represent. Well, I already am. I'm in campaign mode.
Yeah,
That I
Uh-huh.
am representing where my family grew up since
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
decades are here. Their house is still here down the street. It's where
Right,
my
right.
mom's apartment was on Woodside Avenue.
Yeah.
It's very surreal sometimes.
Mhm.
Let me ask a very personal question. With you
Mm.
being an assemblyman,
Mhm.
being married may be pushed back a little bit, I guess. Did
Ah,
you even have time to date?
no. No. But there's yeah, it might get pushed back more. It's
More.
We'll see. You never know.
Oh,
I,
that's
year
something.
after year.
Well,
As a follow up to that question, are women um, going after you because of your new status?
I hope not, because I was good enough before the election. I don't know why all of a sudden now, and I would and
You
I
know
would
what the title does, right?
well, I wouldn't want to be with somebody who would just want to be with me for a title
For a title. Yeah. Anyway,
amazing.
I have another question of Steve. So, Steve, you're not just a student activist anymore, not a community organizer. You're now a politician.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How does that make you feel? You know how the word politician invokes a lot of negative feelings
Correct.
from people.
Correct.
How do
Yeah.
you make sure that you do not end up like the traditional politician that
Well, number one,
we all love to hate?
making sure there's no what is this, scandal, and not doing anything. Absolutely keeping my nose clean.
Yeah.
So I don't want the Wikipedia to say first Filipino. Oh, scandal. So I'm
Yeah.
doing anything.
OMG, yeah.
The next thing is it's very funny, and this is also great timing. Yesterday I went to I did a site visit with our office to Saya, with the South Asian youth um, in Elmhurst
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Action, and they used to share a when I was a student.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
used to share that space with Philippine Forum, where I had an intern.
Ah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And where it was funny because I had that internship the same time I had a double internship with Philippine Forum and the
Uh-huh.
Philippine Consulate. So it was very
Mhm.
distinct, different
Oh my, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
extreme.
experiences. At one
Yeah.
end, you're rallying. In one end, you're researching international trade
Mhm.
for Philippine business, and then the next day, you're rallying against the consulate.
Yes, you're an
So,
activist.
but it's funny because at that time, the home office was in Elmhurst, and that Saya and Philippine Forum hosted that
Mhm.
Mhm.
shared space. Eventually, Philippine Forum moved to Woodside, but the point is, I went there yesterday, and it was
Oh.
very, very, very surreal.
Wow.
There were there were students there that I it was me. There was a women's leadership group and a men's leadership. The women's leadership group was talking about feminism and how to budgeting, practical
Yeah.
budgeting. I went to the
Mhm.
men's leadership group. The on the board it said what is the patriarchy, and what it's
Yeah.
very like surreal, because I'm going there visiting as an elected official when
Mhm.
these are the good work that
Yeah.
that I was started doing. So it's good,
Yeah.
it's still going on, and seeing it on this end. I mentioned it because I mentioned it to the high school kids, like, well, politician, and I said, yes, I know. When I hear politician, it invokes a very
Yeah.
negative.
Very negative. Yeah.
But in
That's
the
right.
end of the day, what you're doing is, I'm in a position of elected office. You can call it
Mhm.
politician if you like, but I've seen community leaders that are more politicians than elected officials that I've seen.
Yeah,
Wow.
right.
I understand that. I know that.
And I know you know them, right? I know
Yes,
you know
yes,
them.
definitely.
So
Yeah.
but to be in this situation, you hold the public trust. So you have to
Mhm.
vote and advocate for those that are your neighbors,
Mhm.
and small businesses, any organizations around you that are doing good work, but have already also been kind of kept out of that process. And
Yeah.
I kind of known that firsthand, because as a former student organizer and community organizer, you've seen how our community was left out on not just a lot,
Mhm.
most of the important discussions across the city and state. And that's something I would make sure that I try not to replicate and be very
Mhm.
inclusive.
That's great. Yeah.
Amazing. So I have a question regarding the real representation of, I don't I don't know if I use the right term, the council in every borough, where the representation from organizations are recommendatory only to what projects are coming in the district. Do you have like a putting forward that will make these representatives truly decisive and not just recommendatory?
What what do you mean
I
projects?
I
Projects from
remember
city?
I remember there's a Queensborough Council or something, and this was, in fact, I would remember your colleague, Marnie Halaza, was trying to have a critical eye on that these groups need to be really consulted and have a say in projects in their district instead of just being recommendatory.
Oh, so this is city council, right? I think
Right, right. Uh-huh.
you're okay.
Yes.
I think that is, yeah, that's a city council issue. I don't,
Mhm.
I don't deal with that.
Oh,
I don't,
it doesn't fall in
no,
your
because
being
I'm in the state.
assemblyman?
No, because I'm
Yeah,
on the state level,
he's now in
right?
the
I
state.
see.
If it's anything with the city, that
Mm-hmm.
would probably be for the city level. But I do know that I think what Marnie was
Mm-hmm.
referring to is if that the city council member of their district gets the other council members generally vote with that
Mm-hmm.
council member if there's a project of that particular district.
Yeah.
I think that's what Marnie might have been discussing. I'm not putting words in her mouth. That's what I assume.
She meant that projects such as businesses opening, I mean, and or infrastructure being developed, the
Yes, definitely.
residents must
Yes.
have a say, not just recommendation.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where it's tough too, because on it's not to speak on behalf of the city council, but
Yeah.
it's definitely you really need input from the community that lives there, not just those already chosen to speak on behalf of
Yeah.
folks, which does a good part of the process. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the people, they don't have time to go to the community board meeting and stay there from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock. They
Mm-hmm.
have they have to get their kid and bring them and feed them and make sure they're doing their homework, or you know what, they might be on the third job of the day.
Yeah,
Or
I
they might just
educate.
be at home and they don't have Wi-Fi, so they can't come in. There's a
Right.
lot of folks that are not having their voices heard, but that's definitely something we could fix.
Educate us on this, please, Stephen. Like, how does the Senate connect, or is there a connection on how the state um, causes this impact on the localities in terms of legislation?
Oh yeah, for sure. So on most of the laws that
Yeah.
we see here are from the state,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because we're a nation of law. We're a nation of states. So
Mm-hmm.
the priority is from Albany, that creates, from not just New York City but Rochester, Albany, Oyster Bay,
Mhm.
Ithaca, everywhere, Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
So um, it gets sent down. So I guess a good example would be, and there's a few, but I think that in general, the assembly, like we have to put it past committee, and then the
Uh-huh.
committee approves it on the floor, and then hopefully that's done, and everyone on the floor in the chamber can go ahead and vote, and then it goes. There has to be a partnered Senate version. So the Senate
Mm-hmm.
has the same thing. If the bill we're pushing is that I don't know that your guys' show has to be on PBS, or I don't know, it has to be streaming everywhere. We got to do this. Then the Senate has to have another version. Then we vote. That becomes a law. Then the governor has until the end of the year to make it a law. And then she can also not sign it or veto it. Now, what that happens is whatever, it depends on the wording of the law, but then
Mm-hmm.
that water falls down to, Rochester, Buffalo, New York City, and then it's up to the city on how that law is interpreted and
Uh-huh.
distributed through lawmakers, the legal or our judges, the legal system, the law enforcement, and our schools, everything. And if it's the budget, same way. It's up to the city to figure it out.
It's a very long stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's long, and that's why there's a lot of red tape, and people are kind of dismayed and disheartened of the length of process sometimes.
Mhm.
But
Mm-hmm.
hey, the other option is a quick result dictatorship. If that's, I
Oh
don't think
no.
anyone
Yeah.
want that either. So it's
Right,
good that we
right.
have a lot of voices in the room that's representative to all.
That's right.
Yeah. We're over time now. We're like
Yeah.
32 minutes.
That's
Oh,
Korean, do you want
one
last
one
question?
final comment before we end. So I think Steve, you're still at a honeymoon period, right?
Oh
You're
yeah,
still
definitely.
you are
Oh,
well loved by the community,
I'm
and
waiting.
I
I'm
still
waiting for.
and I haven't heard anything by way of crab mentality.
Yeah.
So you're good. You're very good. You're in a very good place right now. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. But why did you say right now? Why? Why is that?
Well, you are
Do you
being
know?
Keep it
watched
that way.
also because
But
everything is
Thank
very
you.
new.
I mean, it's the honeymoon period for sure. But I think we want to extend it as much as possible. I'm not going
Of
to be.
course, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to be. I can't be everything to everybody, but I'm going to try to help as much people as I can, and bring our community into it, educate them on the process, and hopefully we could get somebody else from our community up in here.
That's right.
Amazing.
Congratulations again, Steve.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Congratulations, Stephen. Thank you
Thank you.
for
Thank you so
joining
much.
us today.
Anytime, anytime. Thank you. Good to see you.